When we are putting together the duplexes, we imagine the residents having a place that they feel proud of, that they can have their family over for Thanksgiving.
Welcome to the Rental Property Owner and Real Estate Investor Podcast, brought to you by the Rental Property Owner Association, providing benefits and services to real estate investors and rental property owners for over 45 years. With your host, Brian Hamrick from Hamrick Investment Group.
Hello and welcome to episode 14. To be successful as a real estate investor, it helps to know and understand your why. Why be an investor in the first place? Is it just to make money, or is there a deeper reason? Today I sit down to talk with local investor and business owner Angela Hovermale about her whys and how they've led her and her husband to invest in their own backyard, and in doing so, improve the neighborhood and community they live and invest in. All right, Angela, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thanks for having me.
You and your husband, Chad, own a business called Banner Drywall. And we're not really here to talk about that today because I do want to talk about your investing and your philosophy and your portfolio. But why don't we spend a little time right up at the top? You can tell me about your business and tell me how busy you are right now.
Well, we started a drywall business about 13 years ago. We are extremely busy right now and kind of doing a little bit of everything. We do light commercial, residential, remodeling, and lately we've been doing some work for investors, real estate investors.
Well, tell me about that, so you're doing everything that has to do with drywall. And I think it's a great sign of the times right now. And we're recording this, mid-March 2016. Mm-hmm. You're super busy. That's a great sign that things are going well with the economy.
Yes.
Tell me about the investors you're working with and what you're doing for them.
Well, a lot of investors that we're working with have done their own drywall or had a friend or family do it and have come to us tired of doing it themselves. And so they're ready to hire a professional. What we can offer is kind of the helping them to stay on their schedule. When you're turning over or working with real estate or investment properties, time is your friend. And so we can kind of get in there and knock out the project, help them to stay on schedule. We also have ended up doing a lot of things before and after the drywall. So doing some carpentry or some painting just to help them move their project along.
Oh, so you have a team that can do a lot of different things. It's not just drywall.
Our team is really amazing and really skilled in a lot of things.
Great. And I think a company like yours is a great sign of the economy and the trends that are going on. Do you see this, the fact that you're so busy right now, do you see that continuing for a while?
I do. I mean, I'm not an expert on this, but the fact that we're busy in a lot of different areas in commercial and we could do new construction. We don't do a lot of new construction and remodeling and the real estate investing or flipping. Because it's so busy in a lot of areas, it's probably not going to go anywhere anytime soon. But, we just enjoy today.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
Right.
And hopefully it lasts for a good long time, huh? So let's talk about your investing. Why don't we start at the beginning? Tell me how you got into real estate investing and what made you decide that was a good idea and what kind of investing you've been doing since then.
I've been trying to figure out how we got started. We started around maybe 2008 or 7, and there's 3 things that I can think of that kind of motivated us to invest in real estate. One was my husband has some health issues, and so we were not able to get life insurance for him. So we had to get creative in how we can provide for our family. At that time, I was not working. I was a stay-at-home mom, and we had little kids. And so his concern was if something were to happen to him, how would we be taken care of until we could get back on our feet? And real estate provided that passive income that we would be okay if something happened to him. And so that kind of motivated us to kind of be self-insured. That was one thing. Also, we have a daughter that has some impairments, and we don't know what her future will look like as far as living independently. And so when we kind of started this, we thought, you know what, maybe someday if we bought a duplex, she could live on one side and kind of have her independence, and we could live on the other side and know that she's safe or be available to help her out. So we were kind of thinking way, way into the future, but this could be a possibility. The third thing that motivated us to invest in real estate was, at first we were working and investing in the stock market, like IRAs and, you know, whatever you're supposed to do.
Mutual funds.
Yeah, you're trying to be the responsible adult and do whatever your parents did, and you've got some money, you're trying to plan for the future. We did that, and eventually, as we learned more about how they worked and had a lot of questions still about how they worked, we felt uncomfortable about taking our money and investing in companies that we didn't know where they were, how they were run, how they were treating their employees. And we really felt that we wanted to invest locally and invest in an area that we can see the results and we can contribute to and be part of. And it was kind of a justice issue for us. So we chose to take our money and invest in real estate. And honestly, it's a lot less roller coastery for us.
You don't stay up late at night worrying about how the stock market is doing?
No, we would get our report, and you know, it could kind of change your mood for the day. So with real estate, we are more hands-on, and we can control it, and we can see, you know, its growth and how it's contributing to our community. So.
Yeah, with real estate, you definitely are responsible for your financial future.
Correct.
And you can see it every day.
Yeah.
Whereas with the stock market or mutual funds, you have no control over it.
Exactly. So that's exciting.
Absolutely. So, so with those three whys that you just gave me, which are very compelling, how did you get started? How did you know what to do, and how did you do it?
Yeah. I honestly was not tuned in when we first started. My husband wanted to buy a duplex, and I really, if I were being honest, think I was poo-pooing it because it was around the holidays. And I didn't have time to deal with that. I'm trying to get, you know, Christmas ready. So that's how we started with the first duplex. I thought it was a good idea, but I wasn't really involved. We had that one duplex for a long time before we moved to the next one. And as we, you know, all these whys kind of added, you know, in our life, and we saw what real estate could do, then we started to add more properties.
So at some point you jumped on the bandwagon.
Yes.
And you said, you know what, Chad, you're right. This is a good idea.
Right.
And what was it that made you do that? I mean, what opened your eyes?
I learned more. It was risky, it seemed, because I didn't know a lot about it, so it seemed scary. And of course, you always hear scary stories, or, you know, I'm kind of the, well, what if this negative happens? How are you prepared? And
so what were some of those? Because a lot of people are like, I don't want to get a call at midnight that I have to go fix a plugged toilet. I mean,
right.
What were some of the things you were saying?
Hear, oh, you know, so-and-so bought a place, and the resident, you know, destroyed it and then disappeared, and it cost $10,000 to fix it back up, or, you know, and then that was the end of them forever. You know, like,
they're homeless and on the streets now.
So, you know, it seemed risky to me because I didn't have a lot of knowledge. It was something new, and it was big numbers. You know, it's not like, you know, buying some new shoes.
It's not like putting $2,000 into a mutual fund.
Right.
You're putting real money into something that's tangible.
Yes. But I started to realize that it's not so risky when you participate. So
those, I want to talk about those fears that you had. Did any of them pan out?
They have not.
So you haven't had a tenant that's trashed your property and left you with tens of thousands in damage and runoff?
No.
Okay, well let's get back to the beginning then. So your husband Chad wanted to buy a duplex, and you poo-pooed it at first, but then he said, "I'm going to do it anyway," and he did it.
Well,
right?
I kind of was like, "You can do it, but I'm not helping."
But so he went out, he found one. Did he bring you along and grudgingly, and you looked at it?
I don't even remember if I saw it before he bought it. It was really pretty.
He came home and said, "Honey, I bought a duplex."
Yeah. I mean, I knew he was doing it, but, was I there when he walked through? I'm not sure. I don't remember. It was so long ago.
Okay. So obviously it went well enough that you bought more. So what do you remember anything about that first duplex that stands out? Was it pretty cut and dry? I mean, was it just a turnkey, like you buy the duplex? You
that one, yeah. It? When we bought that one was probably the prettiest one when we bought it. Since then, we buy ugly ones. But so yeah, it was kind of simple at first, and it was great for our first one because you're learning so much at the beginning. I think you start to look at the numbers, and that's what turns you.
So tell me about those numbers. I mean, how do they work out for you?
Well, in general, I can tell you numbers in general.
Yeah, in ballpark.
The mortgage is paid, and you've got extra to take care of whatever happens with the place, and extra in the account for the next place. And hopefully the house is going up in value over time. So that's a good thing.
So you're paying your mortgage, you're paying the upkeep on the property, you have a little bit extra to put in your pocket, which you then convert into another property.
Correct.
Okay, so how many times have you done that?
We have 11 units.
11 units, okay.
So we have 6 places, 11 units, but they're almost all duplexes. One of them is single.
Okay, almost all duplexes. Now, why duplexes? What made you think that was a good way to go? A lot of people like single families, but you seem to like duplexes.
Yes. One of the reasons is our strength, because my husband has a drywall company and has a awesome team that he works with. Our strength is adding value to a place. So with the duplexes, we can add value easily. We buy duplexes that have just an unfinished basement or ugly basement. We can add bathrooms, we can add bedrooms, and that adds value to the place. So if you were to do an apartment, there's only so much value you can add. Or a home, maybe not, but we can add egress windows and bedrooms and baths, and that really increases the value of the home. So that's how we started with duplexes. Also, when we started, it was about the number of mortgages you could get. So for one mortgage, we could have 2 units, versus if we were buying single family, then there was a limit on how many mortgages you could get. So if we had a single family, we would only have 4 places if we could only get 4 mortgages. But with a duplex, we could have 4 mortgages, but 8 units.
Okay. So you're using traditional financing then to purchase
Mostly.
your duplexes?
Mostly. We have, most of them are traditional. One of them we have a land contract. And one of them is, we use our money in my IRA.
Okay. So you're doing a self-directed IRA
yes.
then?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. How's that working out?
That's great, because we can't do anything because it's considered a contribution. And so that one is managed by someone else. So that one really is beautiful because you just get the report at the end of the month and the money.
So how is that working? I mean, because you're the first person I've interviewed that has a self-directed, that we've talked about a self-directed IRA. You have one duplex that your self-directed IRA owns.
Yeah.
Are you seeing the results? I mean, are you seeing the value of that IRA grow?
Huge. I'm trying to. I can't tell you exact numbers. My husband is more the like detail number. I'm the overall like, tell me, is it good? Is it bad? Like, we're good. All right, let's keep going. I got too many other things to worry about. But let me say that I make a lot more in interest than before I pulled it out.
Okay, so you had it in a traditional fund,
yes,
and you've moved it into
yes.
self-directed IRA. Your duplex is returning way more than what your traditional fund was
Correct.
Returning. Good for you.
It's technically not a duplex. It's kind of a weird. It's a duplex looking, but you only own one side. I don't know I forget what it's called.
Is it a condo that's in a?
No, it's just it's a single family, I guess is technically what it is, but it shares a wall with another single family.
Okay.
It kind of looks like a duplex or a condo,
it's
but you only own one.
One property that's separately
deeded. I forget what it's called.
Side. Interesting. Okay. So now that you've got more properties under your belt, how big is your involvement in the portfolio?
It has grown over the years. What do I do personally?
Yeah, are you managing the properties?
Okay.
How does that work?
For a long time, we did all the leasing, and we add the value, and we prepare the property, and then we did the leasing and the management. Recently, just in the last year, we have started to contract out the leasing part, and then we manage them. So we have a company that gets the residents, does all the background checks and everything, gets the resident, signs the lease, and then we manage it after that.
So you have these duplexes. Where do you like to buy?
We buy in the neighborhood that we live in, or the community that we live in. We're big fans of our community.
Which community is this?
We live in Kentwood, Michigan,
okay.
Like southeast Grand Rapids, and we love it for a lot of reasons. So we want to invest in it. And so all of our properties are in Kentwood. One, because we want to invest in our community, but two, because we're really busy and we can bop over or drive by. And it's really nice when you're doing a lot of the work yourself to have it be 10 minutes away and, have it close.
You also, some of your duplexes are on the same street. So you're kind of buying up
we have a street
area.
with two duplexes, yes.
And you have your eye on more on that street, perhaps.
That would be awesome someday, maybe.
So in a way, you're playing real life Monopoly. You buy two more, or you can
only
build
it's
hotel.
a lot more fun than the game. I don't like the game. Yes.
Yeah, so what are your plans? I mean, you've got a great portfolio. Are you satisfied with that? Do you plan on buying more?
We have probably long-term plans to buy more. We love what we do, but right now, like today, we're kind of regrouping. We've had a lot of turnovers. A lot of the places we buy are value add, and so we've put a lot into getting the duplex up to our standard. And so right now we're just laying back and kind of regrouping, getting all of them rented and beautiful, and saving, paying things off. And we'll go from there. Just to be ready when the next duplex comes up for sale on that street, we're ready to jump in. Mm-hmm. So,
and what are your standards? I mean, because obviously you own your own drywall company and you've got a team that can do just about anything. What kind of standards do you have for your rental properties?
Well, I always say they need to look pretty. When I get done with the duplex, when I'm like, okay, it's all clean, it's beautiful, like I mopped the last floor and I'm locking it up for it's ready for the resident to move in. I always, when I get done, like lay on the floor and say, I want to live here. So that's how I know it's ready when I would move my family in there. It's not fancy schmancy like granite countertops or anything, because that wouldn't be sustainable where we're buying.
You're not going to get the rents that justify granite countertops.
Correct. But it's nice and clean and safe. Our duplexes have duplexes and homes on the street. But Kentwood is just a community of diversity. So you could have a whole mix really close to any place.
Now, you said something early on about when you were investing in traditional funds, mutual funds, and you said something about not knowing what the funds are up to, and you said something about justice. So I'm wondering, like, how does that apply to your investing philosophy now?
Yeah, we were taking a justice class at a church, and just how you treat people. It's not all about numbers, I guess. And so for us, to invest in something and not care about what they're doing, just to care about the return that you're getting, we weren't okay for us. With businesses that are I don't know where in the world and treating people I don't know how, I wasn't comfortable with. For me, I find that it's my responsibility to take whatever resources I have and use them for good in the best way that I know how.
Right. So you defy the stereotype of the slumlord, because a lot of people think, well, if you're a landlord, you get that joke all the time. Oh, you're a slumlord.
Yeah.
No matter what kind of property, you could own the best property in the world, and people would be like, "Oh, you're a slumlord." But you don't just defy that. You are intentionally making sure that you're treating your tenants and residents with respect, making sure they have a safe place to live in a good property.
I hope so. And there's kind of accountability in investing in your own community where you live. So that helps you even more to make sure you're being respectful and taking care of the place, because your residents' kids go to school with your kids. Right. And you're going to run into them at the grocery store and at the high school. And do
your residents know who you are?
Yes.
So they see you. You do run into them then,
yes.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I make sure my residents don't know who
I know. I'm not saying that everyone needs to do that, but that's how it is for us.
Right.
Yeah.
So you do feel some. Obviously you have some relationship with your residents, and you want to make sure that stays healthy.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. And you talk about the schools and everything. You're on the school board in Kentwood, so obviously the schools are very important to you.
They are very important to me. Where I live, I grew up going to school there, and then I was a high school teacher at the high school that I went to, at East Kentwood High School. And then, and now I'm on the school board there. In fact, I have residents with kids that go to school with my kids.
So schools are important. Mm-hmm. Your residents are important.
And a quality school system helps with the value of your homes. The people who are living in my homes are going to my schools, so it's all connected.
Off mic, you were telling me that you have a little story about my slumlord comment.
Yes, and as I was talking with my husband about why we do this and what gets us excited about this, he said, I have a story that's my story, but I'm going to share his story because it summarizes well how we feel about this. And we bought a duplex that was tired. The current landlord didn't put a lot into it and kind of had just let it go for a while. And residents had lived there for 15 years, and it just kind of, houses wear down. And, it was used. And so they kind of were embarrassed to have people over or, to their home because it wasn't very nice.
These are the residents.
The residents. Mm-hmm. So we bought the duplex, and they stayed in the one side. The resident on the other side moved out. So we fixed up the other side. Well, when those residents saw the other side, they said, well, we kind of want to stay. Can we move next door? So they moved next door, and we fixed up their side. But he talked about having his family over for Thanksgiving or being able to invite people over again. And so when we are putting together the duplexes, we imagine the residents having a place that they feel proud of, that they can have their family over for Thanksgiving. And that's kind of what is motivating for us.
That's great. So. That's great to have that in mind. I mean, you want a place that people feel proud of to invite people over, and that helps you keep tenants there. And you know, when you have to find new tenants, you find really good tenants. Mm-hmm. As we wrap this up, let's just talk about the RPOA a little bit. You're on one of the same committees with myself, the events committee.
Yes.
And we just had our event last month, and it was very successful.
It was.
Why are you involved with the RPOA, and what do you get out of the RPOA?
Sure. I think when we started, our involvement has evolved over time. When we started, the RPOA was a wonderful support for forms and leases and background checks and credit checks and all the things that we needed to do that was new to us as property owners. Over time, we've needed those services less, or we've kind of tweaked them to have our own. But the RPOA really provides, for me, a place to learn. It's a wonderful place to come and be around people who are passionate about similar things, and most of them have a lot more experience than I do. So it's beautiful to come and ask questions, and people get what you're doing. And so I've learned a lot from other people in the RPOA. And then recently, we have an event where there's a lot of new investors coming. And it's been really fun to encourage them. I didn't realize how far we've come until I start to talk to new investors. And it's fun to encourage them and share what you've learned with new investors. So I'm constantly learning and then passing on what I've learned.
So what are some of what are your top tips and advice for new investors?
This is my phrase lately in everything that I do. Be your own kind of beautiful. And so find out what your strengths are, because there's so many different kinds of investors, and they all kind of have their own system and way and do it differently. And there's different theories about, you know, how much debt you should have or pay cash, and all, you know, everywhere you go, somebody does it differently. Find out what works for you and what your strengths are and run with that. So that would be one tip. The other one is hang out with other people who are doing what you want to do, and just keep learning. Keep
learning from those who are doing it.
Right.
And the RPOA is a great resource for meeting up with those people.
Yeah.
Do you go to the breakfast on Friday?
I do go to the breakfast, yep.
Mm-hmm. And then the REI meetup, or RIA
yes,
meetup on
that actually is Mondays? The same night as my board meeting for the school, so board. I get there late. But I usually come even though I'm late, because it's really encouraging. So.
Well, good for you. That shows real dedication. So thanks so much for talking with us, Angela. I think we've learned a lot about you, and good luck with your investing.
Thank you, Brian.
You've been listening to the Rental Property Owner and Real Estate Investor Podcast, brought to you by the Rental Property Owner Association. You can find out more at rpoaonline.org. If you enjoyed this podcast, please go to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and review.